Hello, and welcome to Lab Assignment and Solution CIT-05-L4 Search Events. In this lab, we're going to learn how to forward Snort alerts and search for events. We're going to forward Snort alerts to Splunk and search for the event. This lab should take somewhere between 30 to 40 minutes. And your requirements is a basic working knowledge of Splunk and a basic understanding of pfSense and syslog. Okay, in terms of environment and tools, you need VirtualBox, which is what we have here. You need Linux Ubuntu 20.04 to be specific from a previous exercise and have Splunk installed. We also need pfSense, which is what we have here. The textbook also has some discussions on this, so we'll get started right away. So first and foremost, I'm on page 3, and it says start my pfSense virtual machine, which it's already running here, and then my Ubuntu virtual machine, and log in as my user, not my test log user from the previous exercise, and I'm logged in as John. So I don't need pfSense here, so I'm just going to minimize it. It's already running. And then it says on step 2, click activities, go into terminal, which I already had open. And it says go ahead and type in IP address. And we're going to verify the IP address of our unit, which in this case here, this is the machine's IP address. I'm going to make a note of that. I'm supposed to write it down. I'm also in step 4, it says start up Splunk. So I'm going to do sudo /opt. Once again, you know I do not have to type the whole thing. I can tab complete, bin, Splunk, start. What's the password for my user? And we are starting Splunk. So this is page 3. Let me just bring this up a little bit so we can see this here a little bit better. I can get my VM out of the way. And I should see that Splunk is running. I do see that here. I also have the URL where I can go ahead and actually activate and bring it into a browser. Okay, so on step 5, it says open Firefox browser by clicking on the icon. I'll do that. While it's on its way to Firefox, I'm going to minimize this. It says go ahead and put in the 10.0.1. And because this is not a signed certificate, I get this warning that you see here, potential security risk ahead. So I go here, I click on the advanced, and I'm going to accept the risk and continue. That takes me here to page 5 in step 7. I'm going to log in as admin, and in a previous exercise, we had set up our own password. I do not want to save. I'm going right in, and I am entered into the pfSense dashboard. In this dashboard here, I'm going to click status and go into system logs. See a whole bunch of activity in there. And then in settings, I'm going to make sure some of these settings are already enabled. For example, in here, log firewall default blocks needs to be enabled. Good. And actually, more specifically, it's enable remote login. Enable remote login. That's good. And then okay, then we have more options in this area here. And in this part here, it says everything. But more specifically, let's just make sure we have this right. So remote logging options. The source address is default any, IPv4, and remote log servers, we're going to put in the IP address of our Ubuntu box. This is why we had to save that. Let's just make sure I have that here. I know it's 10.3, but let's go ahead. This is why they ask us to write this stuff down. So I'm going to do if config. This is the IP address that I want. I'm going to right click and copy that. It's the same as this one here. I go back to Firefox. .0.0.3 and the port is 514. I make sure everything is fine. It says everything, and then I scroll down, I verify everything is right, and I click save. Okay, now it says open a new tab and browse to our Ubuntu's IPs on port 8000. So in this case here, this was 1, so I'm going to open a new tab as it says here. I'm going to put in the 10.0.0.1 colon 8000. Oops, I was supposed to put in .3. This is now my Splunk interface. I log in as admin. This is step 11. I do not want to save the password. I am now logged in. Takes a while for it to come up a little bit. Now we click to add data. Once this option is up, we scroll down. I'm on page 8, step 14. We just scroll up a little bit so we can see this better. I click on monitor. And on monitor, I want to monitor some TCP UDP traffic. I click on TCP UDP here. I click on UDP here. Then I specify the port. So in this case here, it's going to be port 514, just as it says here. Then I click next. In this screen here, I have to review the options. So select source type. So in this area here, I'm going to select the source type is going to be Snort. So I can actually start typing that in and see Snort comes out. Great. And then I click on review. And let's see if the review looks the same. I'm on page 9, step 16, input UDP port 514 and ANA Snort search DNS entry of the remote server. Default looks good. I can go ahead and click submit. Then I go back to my terminal. Just so that we see everything here, I'm going to do a ping. Just clear everything so we can get rid of some of the clutter. I'm going to ping with the count flag -C 8.8.8.8. It helps to put the amount of pings that you need in there. Let's do that one more time. So it's the ping command, the -C flag, the number of ping packets I want to send, or the number of times I want to ping. It's 5 times, and it's 888. We're doing DNS's, Google's DNS servers. I go back into Firefox, into my browser. I go into pfSense. I go to apps, search and reporting. And we saw this in the previous exercise. And I actually want to query the source type being Snort. And I'm looking for these ping. Right click, I paste. Then I also go ahead and use the magnifying glass. And I have 0 events. And I see nothing. So that means I did something wrong. So let's go ahead and just take a quick look at our settings if that happens to you. So let's go back into pfSense and retrace our steps. Let's go over here to status. Let's go to system logs. We have some good activity here, but that's not what we're looking for. We're going into settings. And in settings, we're supposed to have enable remote login. Perfect. We have default any, send log messages. And here's our problem right here. Instead of 514, I have 504. I have everything. I'm pretty sure that's what the issue is. I'm going to go back to search Splunk, go all the way back to the end of our exercise. This source type equals Snort and the pings. Copy. Let's go back into pfSense. Oops, stay here. Let's go and put that into the search. And we want to see what happened in the last 24 hours. And voila. Now we have some good hits. This literally just happened moments ago. So this is fantastic. This takes us to the end of this page and the end of this exercise. I hope you found this helpful. See you at the next one.